technical difficulties. Allie and I are back. Yay! Hey, girl.
Hi.
So we are here for Drunk Review, and we are covering The Little Things on HBO Max and in theaters. And we had some interesting reactions. Let's put it that way. Reactions. So before we get started, what are you drinking, Allie?
Yes. I'm drinking a very strong vodka soda. I feel like this review needs a strong vodka soda.
Well, I don't know what I'm drinking because Ron is bringing it to me as we speak.
Right. Well, the formless Ron, who will not come on camera, is bringing you. There's a drink called a Colorado Bulldog, which is based on a White Russian. However, Belle does not drink cream.
No.
So I modified it, and in honor of part of the movie being set in Pasadena, and Pasadena being my hometown, I made a Pasadena Pit Bull.
Of course.
That is coffee liqueur.
Okay.
Vodka.
Okay.
Cold brew whiskey.
Oh.
And what I call the disappointment cola.
Okay.
And in honor of you reviewing The Little Things,
okay,
be drinking out of a little thing.
This is the tiniest cup ever.
It actually has the
It's a Guinness.
Not that yet.
It's super cute.
so now you can drink from Little Things while you talk about little things.
This is adorable. Oh my god. Let's see what this tastes like, because guys, I have no idea what this is tastes like.
Turned out pretty well.
Things happening.
Yeah, I'm a little scared. I hope this isn't gonna kill me, but who knows?
I'm also kind of jealous because you have a man over there like making you drink. And I'm like, I have a vodka soda, like some basic.
I also have. This is fantastic.
Jealous.
It's so good. Don't be jelly. Don't be jelly. You know, like if we weren't in a pandemic, we would be bringing you food and drinks like we always do. And once this pandemic is over, we will be doing that because, you know, we love you.
Yay 2023.
Yeah, Ron said, yay, 2023. Oh my God. It's funny.
I'm going from pandemic to AARP.
It's just like, it's funny because it's depressingly true.
No.
So, The Little Things. Ooh, okay. I was actually looking forward to this movie because I am always a big fan of a great serial killer movie. So I was looking forward to it a great deal. Not to mention the fact that, you know, the cast is amazing. So I'm like, okay, yes, this is right up my alley. Serial killers, the late 80s, early 90s. Denzel, Rami, Jared Leto, Natalie Morales, Michael, oh goodness, I forgot, Michael Burke. This all sounds great. This is fantastic. And then I watched it. I didn't hate it. That's it.
The most positive review.
So, your thoughts?
So, the cast was awesome. I mean, I think the most thing I enjoyed out of watching that movie was saying, oh, hey, it's that person that played the thing in the movie. Let me look this up on IMDb. Oh, yeah, they were in this too. Oh, did you know that played this character in this show back in the 80s? And this? I spent more time on my phone researching these actors, and I still don't remember who they played in this movie. But, yeah, it was really boring. The cast was great. It wasn't their fault. They're all wonderful actors. Jared, you say Leto, I say Leto. It's like potato potato versus Leto. Have I been saying it wrong this entire time?
I think there's like a 50-50 chance I'm saying it wrong.
Okay.
So it could go either way. Like, I think you might be right. I think it might be Leto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So if somebody knows out there, correct one of us.
It's Leto.
It is. Shut up, Han.
Wife side. I see how you are. Yeah, it wasn't good, and you had all this wonderful talent, and it was just wasted. Jared Leto. He's not my favorite per se, but he's really good at acting like a weird guy, aka himself. So yeah, the cars were wonderful. I liked the
Yes.
automobiles.
The attention to detail in this movie was so on point. There were weird things. It was like Ron made a really good observation. He said, I feel like this movie wanted to be No Country for Old Men, but it wasn't. So it had all of the elements to be No Country for Old Men, but it still wasn't quite right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it wanted to be like sex, but like it made that mark off in the distance, and they went really, really wide left and just completely.
The most compelling things for me, the storyline was all over the place. So that was the first thing. It just, like, I got it. I understood what was happening. I wish in some ways that they had leaned in to Denzel being the poisonous friend. Does that make sense? We are so conditioned to assume that Denzel Washington is the good guy. We are conditioned by 40 years of film and television to assume that Denzel Washington is here on the side of truth and righteousness. So I wish they had actually had the balls to really make him someone who went off the deep end and they kept going. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I think that would have made the story more compelling.
Instead, they just made it seem like he was kind of a washed detective.
Yes.
Like, I'm gonna stick around in the big old city for a little bit and see what I can do.
Right. And it just didn't make sense because I kept thinking about all the jurisdictional boundaries that he was breaking. And I will say I did like this movie for not trying to glamorize police officers. I appreciate that because we've already seen how that affects the real world. But I wish that, because at every turn, the more you find out about what happened with the backstory of Deacon's character, the more you realize that this is dirty cops from start to finish. They did instead of owning up to the shit that they did, they just covered it up. Just left and right. Covered everything up. And it's really bad. The cover up is so bad. And so that part I actually deeply appreciated. I appreciated that. I just wish that they had just went ahead and had the guts to really go for it. Really make Denzel a bad man. Really make him like a Hannibal to Rami Malek's Will. Just trying to live through him and putting his shit on him and taking him down the rabbit hole of borderline insanity. I would have really cared for that. That would have been fantastic. That being said, honestly, he was the least interesting character for me, which I know is blasphemy, but it's true. Like Rami, and for me, Rami's character, the ME, the medical examiner, Natalie Morales' character, Jared Leto's character, they were all far more interesting. And I do wonder if the movie would have been better had they not had the burden of giving Denzel a Denzel movie on it, and had focused more on this detective falling down the rabbit hole of trying to prove it, even though everything that he knows is telling him that this is the guy, but he doesn't have proof. And how far he's willing to go. I think that would have made a more compelling movie. What do you think?
I don't know. Not making it would make it really compelling. Because I feel like I would have a lot more questions answered. Of like, I know why they didn't make this movie. Because it was bad. These kind of movies have been made over and over and over and over and over again. And I just wanted it to stop. It was not enjoyable. Because I was watching it on the HBOs. I paused it at one point just to see, oh dear God, how much time is it? And is anything actually going to happen? Can you give me another murder? How do you start a movie off that is at the climax already? It climaxed in the beginning. And then it just went, I thought the key thing was really cool. I think that could be like gift shops. That was beautiful. A nice like murder bullet key thing. The Brett thing was dumb. Like, who didn't see that coming? Like, and I like everything. The least picky person when it comes, especially right now during the pandemic. I'm like, ooh, something new. I like it. No. This was bad, and you did these actors wrong. Just every bad.
I really wanted it to be good. And it didn't grab me, but the performances did, which we're going to come to next, because the performances, like a lot of things, oftentimes the performances save the whole bloody thing. And even in this case, I don't think they were enough. So we will talk about that very shortly. I am already feeling this. Lord have mercy. Woohoo!
Take some more.
I'm going to be ripped by the end of this.
Movie, so.
It's not called kind of tipsy review, guys. So, just bear that in mind.
Seriously, when I watched this movie, it was on a Friday. I should have waited to watch WandaVision after the movie, because I was just left with all this disappointment and I was ready for bed.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to do a review of WandaVision soon as well. But that's a whole other conversation.
That is
so many other conversations.
Yeah. You're giving me the point finger.
I'm so drunk. So the performances were very good. Although, again, I felt like, is it wrong to say that I felt like Denzel was almost phoning it in? It felt very Harrison Ford in the late 90s when he didn't care and kept doing the same performance in like Air Force One and all the other movies that he was in the 90s. Is it just me?
He had more the court than he did with anybody else in that. And that's like, it just wasn't there. Not his movie. Like, and I think he knew it too. He was probably like just, going through the well,
it's a check.
Contract.
Yeah.
I should have read the script.
Please don't make me spit alcohol over my husband's computer.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Oh
But
God.
the corpse was very convincing.
That scene was actually phenomenal. That scene is the thing is for a movie called The Little Things. The little things in the movie were the best parts. The one-on-one scenes between Leto and Rami Malek. The scenes, that scene where Natalie Morales' character realizes she screwed up because she let the witness see him when she was supposed to keep an eye on her. I wish she had had a bigger part. The entire conversation at the diner between the medical examiner and Deacon was fantastic. That actress, she's been around in so many things forever, and she's always so good in every damn thing she is in. I almost wish this movie had been more of a character study, with the murders being a background event. Does that make sense? Because the performances were so good. Although, as I said to Ron, Rami was still doing a lot of bad habits from Bohemian Rhapsody, where he was acting with his jaw.
Yeah. Well,
He was doing a lot of this.
Jawline.
I was like, what is this? Stop that. Stop it right now. He was doing a lot of that, and it was irritating. But then the desert scene happened, and I was like, there's my boy. That's the guy I showed up for. Because that desert scene, basically every time he and Leto were just left alone to do what they do against each other, Leto, whatever the hell he is, pizza, they were so good against each other, and Jared was just, now as you, same as you, Jared Leto is it's weird because he's such a great actor, but he's such a weirdo that he's off-putting. Like, you haven't heard the stuff about him like you hear about Johnny Depp. So like there's no weird background stuff with him like you hear about him being crazy with women or whatever. But he's just weird. And that's fine. But I'm weird. I'm a different kind of weird, so I don't mind. But I feel like Ron made a good point. If he didn't have 30 Seconds to Mars, if he didn't have a way to outlet these movies, because if you notice, usually 30 Seconds to Mars drops a song right after he does some deep dive movie, he would have the same thing happen to him that happened to Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage was very method for a very long time. And then he did Leaving Las Vegas. And he went so far down the rabbit hole with Leaving Las Vegas that something went wrong. And if you notice, ever since Leaving Las Vegas, Nicolas Cage has not done a serious movie since then. He has not done a single serious, not really deep movie since that movie. And with Jared Leto, I always have that, you need to do a comedy. Does that make sense? I'm like, you need to do something lighthearted to break up, because I don't think he's ever done, like, literally, he did this and the Morbius movie and Batman versus Superman and Suicide Squad back to back. And I'm like, that's a lot of dark shit back to back to back. So, what do you think? Your thoughts?
Jared Leto? I totally forget that he does music. So that's the thing. Don't think I'm gonna check out his music. Yes, he definitely submerges himself into the role. But again, he's already kind of a weird dude, so it works. So he's also very typecasted in that way. I'm just glad he's not buying pyramid scripts Orleans, so that's good. If you've ever been to Cemetery Number 1, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That stupid pyramid that should not be there. Anywho's got thing. He was fine. Otherwise, I guess. The scene in the desert, the digging, that was interesting. That actually did grab my attention there for a little bit. I honestly didn't see him being killed like that. That kind of took me by surprise, which was the only thing that took me by surprise in that movie.
I just had a thought.
Okay.
They should have started the movie with the scene in the desert and then gone backwards to how we got here.
That would have made the movie better.
They should have started with that scene and built off of that.
Because then it would have ended the climax of the girl running around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should have started with that scene, and then they should have moved, and they should have gone more in depth with the young jogger's family who disappeared, and then that would have. They should have focused more on the jogger family, the jogger who disappeared, and how, because they were assuming that this person was only killing prostitutes, their profile was completely wrong. And because that was the thing that struck me, is that your profile's wrong. You're assuming he's killing prostitutes. This girl's a jogger. So that means that 9 times out of 10, you're missing a wide swath of women who he's been killing. Which kind of reminds me of the Netflix series that we watched that was about a real life thing where they assumed that the new Ripper, there was a Ripper in London in the late 80s who they assumed all he was killing were prostitutes, and he was killing anybody that was available that caught his eye. And that's where I thought they were going with this. I genuinely thought, okay, they're assuming that this man is only killing prostitutes, but this girl's a jogger. She was jogging home, minding her own business. She didn't hurt nobody. And also, it would have been a really good way to have a conversation about how sex work is work. Prostitutes are human beings and should be treated as such. So I assumed that that's where they were going, and they didn't. So sorry, but go back to the desert scene and what you were saying about the performances overall. But I just had that thought, and I was like, I gotta get it out. But go ahead.
That would have made the movie actually better for what it was. Because, besides the beginning of the movie, which I said was the climax of the movie, the most exciting scene, and then the desert scene, which was the next most exciting scene, still kind of felt a little flat. And there was a lot of holes being dug. So, that was fine. They were both bad cops at this point. They both killed an innocent person, being covered up, yada, yada, yada. For his conscience, that stupid freaking beret thing. Which is like, how did he know that? I mean, he knew it was a red beret, but it was like, how did he know that was the beret, the exact beret that she had in her hair? Because he didn't.
He didn't, and I thought the only explanation I had for that was that he didn't want him to fall down the hole that he fell down.
Yeah.
Questioning himself for the rest of his life, so he basically made it up. Although there was a red beret in the box that he found. So that was a plot hole, because we saw a red beret in the box that he found in his apartment. Yeah. We actually double checked. There was a red beret in the box that he found in the apartment. So he didn't have to lie. So, but then when he was burning things later, the red beret disappeared. And I was like, to have that denouement at the end, when you literally had the evidence right there, seems unnecessarily, it seems affected. It was unnecessarily affected when we saw the red beret that was in the box. It was so quick, and because it was such a big detail, because her mother kept saying she wore a red beret in her hair when she went jogging, and it was and we saw her with it. and then we saw it in the box, and it stood out because it was just newspapers and nothing was in color until you see that red beret. You didn't have to have him then do a fake beret later. You could have just had him send the beret.
I might watch that thing because I completely missed the red beret in the box.
We noticed it because it was so bright compared to everything else.
Yeah.
That it drew both of our eyes to what we were seeing. So yeah. Anyway, what did you think of the other performances of everyone else? I think for the little bit of screen time that Natalie Morales got, she was fantastic. She was his partner, and I always like her. I loved her on The Newsroom. I loved her on Parks and Recreation. I loved her in Stuber, which if you haven't seen it, you should, because it's Dave Bautista and Kamal Nanjiani being actually freaking hilarious together, and it's so fun. What did you think of her? And I really liked that the cast, I didn't realize it until the next day, the cast was one of the most diverse casts I've ever seen, except for Jared Leto. Everybody who was a main character was a person of color. And I didn't realize it literally until the next day.
Yeah. And again, so many good things that I wanted to like this movie. And performances were fine. Like, nothing award winning, I don't think, by any. But again, it's not the actors, the script, or maybe even the direction that they were given. But I wasn't captivated by any of them. It bored me. I was bored, and for a serial killer movie to be that, just like there wasn't a lot of chemistry there with any of the actors, and maybe that had something to do with the time that it was filmed. I can't put my finger on it, but it didn't work. It didn't work, and it
should have, because I have not seen either Rami Malek or Jared Leto or Denzel Washington not have chemistry with everyone that they've been thrown against. So it's weird to me that they didn't have chemistry in this.
Yeah.
When it's this group of amazing actors doing what they do. Although I still can't get over that Jared Leto got a Golden Globe nomination. And I'm like...
For this?
Yes! And I'm like... This was really good in this. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, he plays a really good creepy guy. He has the walk down.
Yes!
Going to strip clubs on a bus. Nothing
but,
wrong with it.
But yeah, I'm like, how did he get a Golden Globe nomination when there were so many other actors who deserved it this year? And I'm just like...
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, well, we gotta talk. We're gonna have to do a drunk review about the Golden Globes, because these nominations, and that's a whole other conversation, these nominations were so bizarre and random and super white for things when I'm like,
shocker.
I'm like, did Malcolm and Marie not just come out? Did Judas and the Black Messiah not just come out? Anyway, we don't have time. We don't have time for me to get into this.
Drunk podcast and drunk.
Maybe we should live tweet and live drunken the Golden Globes.
We should live drunken. I don't tweet. I don't really know how to. So don't judge me. I know I have an account.
We should live drunken the Golden Globes. We'll get on Skype and we will watch the Golden Globes and we will talk about them as they're happening. And we will just post live the whole time. It'll be great. Or we'll do a YouTube live and it'll be great.
I'm sure you can show me how to do that.
And it'll turn out so well.
It's gonna be great.
So,
no.
Would you watch this again?
No.
See, for me,
No.
it would be good background noise while I was working. Hi, R2. I love that you're wearing R2 and you also have an R2. It's like R2 Inception. And there's an R2 directly behind your head. That is fantastic. Oh my god.
Another R2. I'm getting him this weekend. I'm so excited.
Oh my god.
He lights up.
Well, you have a giant one that lights up as well. And you have one that walks on its own around the house. But anyway, we're getting off topic, which I guess is kind of the point, which is that, like, we watched this movie and we were both like, I'm good. Like, I didn't dislike it. I would probably watch it again because I like all of the actors who are in it. And as a rule, if I'm doing something, like if I'm working on the house and I need some background noise while I'm like drilling and I need something to kind of have in the background, or if I'm sewing or whatever where I don't need to be paying full attention, I would probably watch it because I do a lot of sewing. And so, like, if I'm sewing and I need to be focused on that, but I don't need to pay attention to this, then I would probably have it on for that. But I really hope, couple things. I really hope that Rami stops acting with this job, because I'm really looking forward to, and I never thought I would say this, but I'm really looking forward to the next Bond movie because of the cast and because Waller-Bridge wrote it. And so I really hope he's not doing that same shit, because I'm like, I didn't like Bohemian Rhapsody at all, other than the musical scenes. And one of the main reasons is that Rami was acting with his teeth and his jaw. And Ron made a good point earlier, which is, unfortunately, especially for our generation, when we were growing up, we saw live theater, if that makes sense. So we learned about acting with your whole body. But there's a generation that's a little bit after us, and Rami is a little, just enough behind us. He's kind of in between you. No, he's a little bit after us because he's a little bit younger than you are, a little bit older than some of our friends, where they grew up watching performances on television and film, so they don't know how to act with their whole body. And they're not theater trained. Our generation, a lot of the people who we watched on television and in film came from theater first. And Rami acts with his face. He didn't do that on Mr. Robot. His whole body language changed on Mr. Robot because of the two characters he was playing. 3, 4, technically. If you haven't watched Mr. Robot, I'm sorry. He's playing 4 different people at any given time. Watch the show. I do not have time to explain it to you. I'm like, it's too much. It's too much. I cannot sum up. But he is so good at acting with his whole body. And then with Bohemian Rhapsody, when he wasn't singing, he was acting with, and you know, yeah, it was, I can't explain it. It was, and there is a lot of that in this movie until the individual scenes happen. Until his scenes with Leto, who forced him to basically meet him where he was. Because Jared Leto's acting with his whole body. From the hair down to his feet. His posture, everything is, yeah, like, I was looking at his walk. That's the thing. This movie, I was so busy analyzing how Jared Leto's actual physicality was changed because of the way he was moving. I was looking more at that than I was paying attention to the movie itself. Yeah. So would I watch it again if it's on? I guess.
Interesting.
physically.
But I need more alcohol.
I have all of it, apparently. So I'm gonna need to eat when this is done.
Yeah.
Because holy shit. I am so glad my husband gave me a tiny, tiny glass because I would be dying right now.
Because the little thing.
It's the little things that get you caught.
Little thing.
Or drunk. So I guess that's our review of The Little Things.
Don't watch it.
Or if it's on, watch it, I guess. But don't, this is not what you get your HBO Max subscription for. You get your HBO Max subscription for Young Justice and the entire Wonder Woman catalog from Linda Carter and the movies, and you get your HBO Max subscription for the DC animated universe and things like Insecure. This is not what you pay the money for.
Insecure.
Which we are going to talk about shortly. Yes, that's a really good point. Ron said, watch it, don't expect too much. Yeah, it's a good way of putting it.
Or watch it in rewind.
Watch Jaws in reverse. It's about a shark that throws up swimmers until they open a beach.
Yeah. Can't help.
Did you know that?
I did.
He also knows the line very much.
Oh my god. I can't tell if you guys are being genuinely funny or if I'm drunk.